Hare Krishna. So, Srila Prabhupada is not only a very exalted spiritual personality, but Srila Prabhupada actually is a very special spiritual personality who had, you can see how Krishna actually sent him to fulfill his prediction, appearing as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He made a very wonderful prediction that this Krishna consciousness movement would spread in every town and village, all over the world. In Christianity, there is a very popular expression, the chosen one. Jesus is considered to be the chosen one by God, the Father. And in that context also we can see how Srila Prabhupada is the chosen one by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to accomplish something that he himself did not accomplish. In a way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Mahavadanya, the most munificent appearance of the Lord. Vadana means magnanimous, munificent. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead is extremely munificent. But when he came as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he became even more magnanimous, because he gave something that the Supreme Personality of Godhead had never given before. This understanding goes like this, that Krishna's Vrindavan pastimes are very special pastimes. Krishna's Vrindavan pastimes are special because in that pastimes, Krishna allows his devotees to develop three very special relationships with him. Their friendship, parental and conjugal. Generally, these three relationships are not possible to develop with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Parama Ishvara, the Supreme Controller, the Supreme Proprietor, is the Supreme Lord and Master. So if he is the Lord and Master, then what is the relationship with him and the living entities? The living entities are his eternal servant. Jiver Swarup hai, Krishna Niktadas. The jivas, the living entities, are Krishna's eternal servant. So the natural relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead is in servitorship, servant, dasya. So in the spiritual sky, the relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead is in dasya ras, either shanta or dasya. Shanta means neutrality, and But neutrality is neutral. It is neither this way nor that way. Neither love nor hatred. But a loving relationship actually begins with servitorship. The way the servant loves the master. So generally the living entity's relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead is in servitorship. In the spiritual sky, in Vaikuntha, the relationship with the Lord is in servitorship. But these three other relationships, friendship, parental and conjugal, with the Supreme Personality of Godhead is available. But they are available only in Vrindavan. But generally Krishna doesn't reveal his Braja Leela. This is a relationship that the Lord does not generally allow living entities to have with him. It's a very special relationship. That is the specialty of Braj, Vrindavan. But in a day of Brahma, Krishna reveals that pastimes. Once in a day of Brahma, Krishna reveals his Braja Leela. Otherwise, all the incarnations are displaying Vaikuntha Leela. Different aspects of Vaikuntha. Nrsimha, Varaha, Kurma, Vamana. They all are displaying Vaikuntha aspect of the Lord. But once in a day of Brahma, Krishna comes and reveals his Braja Leela. This Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this Krishna is not an incarnation. The others are incarnations. Ete Changsha Kala Punsha, Krishnastu Bhagavans. And these different incarnations that have been described in Srimad Bhagavatam and then pointed out, in this way there are innumerable incarnations of the Lord. Asankhayo, avataro hi asankhayo. The avatars, the incarnations are asankhya, countless. And this word countless has been described like even the oceans of a wave, even the waves of an ocean can be counted. Even the sand particles of this planet can be counted. But the incarnations of the Lord cannot be counted. So that is how innumerable the Lord's incarnations are. But all these incarnations are His parts and parts of the parts. But Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is not an avatar. He is the avatari. He is not an incarnation, but He is the origin of all incarnations. And this original Supreme Personality of Godhead eternally resides in Vrindavan. Srila Jiva Goswami specifically pointed out that this Supreme Personality of Godhead never takes a step outside of Vrindavan. Vrindavanam paritajya kutra kadapi na gacchati. Living Vrindavan, he never goes anywhere. He doesn't even take a step outside of Vrindavan. He always stays in Vrindavan. That is the Supreme Personality. The son of Nanda Maharaj. Aradha Bhagavan, Brajesha Tanay, Stadhamo Vrindavan. the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj. By saying that, he is actually indicating that this Krishna is not the son of Vasudeva and Devaki. He is not Vasudeva Krishna, he is not Devaki Nandan Krishna. He is Brajendra Nandan Krishna. And that also has been confirmed, that Krishna ayam jadu sambhuta. Krishna anya jadu sambhuta. Jadu sambhuta, the one who appeared in the Jadu dynasty, is another Krishna. These are all mind-blowing informations. But this is what has been presented by our Goswamis. And that is why these informations are so important. And because it is very, very confidential, it's rather kept very confidential, because ordinary people don't understand. People don't even have an understanding of who God is. In Christianity, they don't know the difference between God and the Son of God. And then the Samhita, Father and Son is one. That's all. That's simply because they don't have any information, any understanding. And actually with that difference, early Christianity became divided. The Roman Catholics, they said Jesus is God. Whereas the Orthodox Christians, the Greek Orthodox, they said no, He's the Son of God. So on that concept they became divided. That was the first division actually. So, but here we get such clear understanding of who God is. What's the difference between God and His incarnations? And that also, there are 6 different types of incarnations. The incarnations there are 6 different types. So clear understanding. How many of you know that there are 6 different types of incarnations of the Lord? Raise your hand. Those who don't know, please raise your hand. Okay. Those who want to know, please raise your hand. Okay. The 6 different incarnations are, one is Purushavatar. In relation to the creation, material creation, the Lord manifests Himself as 3 Vishnus. Karanodakshai Vishnu or Mahavishnu, then Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and then Kshirodakshai Vishnu. These are the 3 different Vishnu incarnations who are known as Purushavatars. Then Gunavatars. There are 3 modes of material nature, and they are being controlled by 3 incarnations of the Lord as Vishnu, Brahma and Shiva. They are Gunavatars. As Vishnu, he is controlling the mode of goodness. As Brahma, he is controlling the mode of passion. And as Lord Shiva, he is controlling the mode of ignorance. Then there are 4 Jugas. And in 4 Jugas, the Lord appeared as 4 Jugavatars. Satya Juga, Treta Juga, Dwapar Juga and Kali Juga. In these 4 Jugas, he appears as 4 Jugavatars. Then there are 14 Manus, and during the reigns of each Manu, the Lord appears as Manvantar Avatar. Manvantar Avatar. Like this is the Vaivashyata Manvantar. And the Manvantar avatar in this Manvantar is Vaman Dev. Then Leela avatar, the Lord performs various types of pastimes, the Leelas. And he is known as Leela avatar, like Lord Ramchandra, Varahadev, Nrsimhadev, Kurmadev. Ram, Nrsimha, Varaha, Kurma, they are Leela avatars. And then sometimes the Lord empowers a living entity, and that empowered incarnations are called Shaktavesh avatar. So these are the 6 different types of incarnations of the Lord. 6 different categories of incarnations. And there are innumerable incarnations. Like how innumerable you can see, like how it's countless. Because as Kshirodakshayi Vishnu, the Lord is the super soul of all living entities. Now how many living entities are there? So we can see that it's countless, these incarnations. Even in the heart of a microbe, the Lord is there. And this is Achinta. He is one. Paramatma is one. But he is there in everyone's heart. Inconceivable. Although he is one, he is manifesting himself in the heart of every living entity. Although he is one, he is manifesting himself in so many incarnations. It is not that they're different. He is one person. So Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of God. And these are his Etechangsha Kala Punsha. These are his Amsa and Kala. Amsa's Amsa, parts of the parts, but Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is Swayam. So that Swayam Bhagavan Krishna comes only once in a day of Brahma. Just once in a day of Brahma, he comes. And that also has been specifically described, as I mentioned, in a day of Brahma there are 14 Manus. What is the length of Brahma's day? 1000 Chaturjugas. What is 1000? What is a Chaturjuga? Satyuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga and Kali Yuga put together is a Chaturjuga or a Dibba Yuga. And 1000 such Chaturjugas make a day of Brahma. And in a day of Brahma there are 14 Manus. Manus are like the foreman of a shift. So how many of you know about the operation of a factory? How does a factory work? In shifts, yeah? Generally they have 3 or 4 shifts. Like 3 shifts, 6 to 2, 2 to 10, 10 to 6. When the factory is run 24 hours, generally they have these 3 shifts. So in each shift, there is a foreman. The foreman actually brings the team with him. He is the leader of the team. Like say a factory has few machines, like lead machine, milling machine, drilling machine. So different workers are working in different machines. And so the head of that group is called foreman. So in a way Manu is like a foreman. So in his team, there are demigods, Indra, Chandra, Varun. There are sages like Vashishta, Vishwamitra, Saptarshis, 7 sages. There are different Gandharvas, there are different Kinnaras. So they all have their group. Each Manu has his group. And when he comes with his group, and when he goes, he lives with this group. Shift is over. Now the next shift is starting. So another Manu will come with his team. For example, in this Manvantar, Vaivashvata Manvantar, as I mentioned, Vamandev is the incarnation of the Lord. In Purandar is Indra. But next Manvantar, Bali Maharaj will become Indra. In this way there will be different demigods, sun god, moon god, Agni Dev, Vishwakarma, and so forth. So this is called in a Manu's reign or Manvantar, period of Manu's reign. And in each of Manvantar there are 14 Manvantars, 14 Manus come, and the reign of each Manu is 1000 by 14 is how much? 71 Chaturjugas. So each Manu's reign is 71 Chaturjugas. Now out of the 14 Manus, the 7th Manu is Vaivashvata Manu. That is the son of sun god Vivashwan. Do you remember? Imam Vivashvate Yogam Praktavan Aham Abhayam. Vivashan Manave Praho. Vivashan spoke to Manu. So who is that Manu? Vivashan's son, Vaivashvata Manu. And Vaivashvata Manu's 28 Chaturjugas, Dwapar Yuga, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna comes. And you'll be happy to know that we are in Vaivashvata Manvantar. This is the 28th Chaturjuga. At the end of Dwapar Yuga, Krishna came. Who is that Krishna? This Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan, the son of Nanda Maharaj. And he revealed his Braja Leela. So after revealing his Braja Leela, Krishna considered, I reveal my Braja Leela, but how will anyone ever enter into this Braja Leela pastime? How will anybody ever understand the glory of Braja Leela and ever enter into Braja Leela? Krishna gives all kinds of reasons that it is not possible to enter into Braja Leela for a living entity. So Krishna considered, I reveal my Braja Leela to the earth planet. But if nobody else can enter into Braja Leela, then what's the use of revealing these pastimes? I reveal my pastimes, but if nobody can enter into that pastime, then what's the use? And the specialty of this pastime is, as I mentioned earlier, friendship, parental and conjugal. These 3 relationships which are not otherwise available for a living entity. Therefore, in order to enable the living entities to enter into that pastimes, Krishna came as a devotee. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Mahaprabhu actually opened the gate, so to say, of Vrindavan. Vrindavan's gate is completely sealed. No entry. Generally no entry. Those who are there only, they are there, and some very, very special living entities get a chance to enter into Braja Leela or Vrindavan. Who are those living entities? You want to know who had access to Vrindavan? 108 exponents of the Upanishads. Those who mastered the 108 Upanishads. That means they became the personified Upanishads. They had access. The sages of Dandakaranya who met Lord Ramchandra, and seeing Lord Ramchandra, they developed such attraction for him, that they wanted to have an intense loving relationship with him. They got entry in Brajavila. In this way, some very rare individuals, so you can see how qualified one had to be to enter into Brajavila. So much so that Lord Brahma didn't have entry. Can you imagine? Brahma didn't get entry to Vrindavan. Even though the Lord revealed his pastime. He got an entry, but after a lot of endeavor, a lot of trouble. Lord Shiva also couldn't enter into Vrindavan. Lakshmi Devi couldn't enter into Vrindavan. Can you imagine? So that is how this Braja Leela is. As I said, a relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in such intense love, like that of friendship, parental and conjugal. But Krishna felt that what is the use of them revealing this pastime? So I have to make some arrangement for this so that the living entities can enter. And he came therefore as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And appearing as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then what did he do? He opened the gate of Vrindavan wide. And he started to invite everybody. Come, get in. He started to tell that come and get in, but Nityananda Prabhu went and started to drag everybody by holding their hands, come in. So this is how Krishna bestowed his mercy as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Mahavadanya, the most munificent appearance of the Lord. But what did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu do? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu distributed Krishna consciousness only in India. In a way we can say that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu opened the gate of Vrindavan only for the Indians. He did it only for the Indians. But then he felt bad that I came to distribute this mercy, but I did it only in India. Then he said, okay, fine. I will make it available to everyone all over the world. He just made that prediction that I will. But then soon after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left this planet, then the door of Vrindavan got shut again. But he made a prediction that he will make it available to the people of all over the world. So remembering that promise, he sent Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Okay, make arrangements to open the gate again. So the gate was already rusted, there was all kinds of weeds And so Bhaktivinoda Thakur came and cleaned up the rust, cleaned the weeds and all the bushes and things that grew around the gate. It was already covered. He cleaned it up. And then Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur again opened it. But then it was opened only again for Indians. Those who are in India could take advantage of that. But then came Srila Prabhupada. And he came out to the Western world and he started to invite everybody. Come, come. And Srila Prabhupada made access to Vrindavan for everyone, available to everyone. Make Vrindavan available to everyone. He gave access to everyone all over the world. And Srila Prabhupada built a beautiful road where people can just so easily have access to Vrindavan. He not only built a road, that road also has an automatic conveyor belt. All you have to do is just come onto the road and the road will carry you. Just as the conveyor belt does, it just moves on its own, taking you to the spiritual sky. So that is the inconceivable good fortune that Srila Prabhupada has created for the living entities of this age. More we read the glory of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through scriptures like Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavad, this understanding becomes more and more clear. People cannot actually imagine the good fortune that Srila Prabhupada has created for all of us. Can't even imagine. So this is how, and this path, the road that I was talking about, road with a continuous conveyor belt, is ISKCON. Another analogy that has been drawn or painted in Srimad Bhagavatam, 12th canto, is the painting displays the ocean of material nature, the vast ocean of material nature, full of dangerous aquatics, sharks, piranhas, all kinds of terrible crocodiles. This ocean of material nature is filled with such terrible aquatics. But in that ocean, there is a ship. On the mast of the ship, there is a flag. The flag is bearing the name ISKCON. And the ship is moving with the wind of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And on the deck of the ship, so many devotees chanting and dancing. And Srila Prabhupada is steering that ship. The captain of the ship. So see how safe and smooth it has become for all of us to go to the spiritual world. Across the dangerous ocean of material nature, All we have to do is just get into that ship. And what is that ship? ISKCON. Just get in. And it's not that there is only one ship. There are so many ships continuously is going on. One after another ship sailing across, taking the living entities. It is not that when the ship left the shore, then there is no chance of getting into it. Okay, one ship the ship is so transcendental, so inconceivable in its nature, that although it is sailing across the material nature, it's also on the port, in the harbor for us to get in. Anybody can get into the ship anytime he wants. And only thing that he has to do is that he has to just stay on board. Just stay on board. And in course of time, it will take us across the ocean of material nature back to where? Okay. Vrindavan especially. If the ship stops in Vaikuntha, will you get out and get down? No. He said, no, this is not where I want to go. So even Vaikuntha becomes insignificant. This is how wonderful the gift is. We won't settle for anything less than Vrindavan. And when we are on the board, on the ship, all we have to do is chant and dance and be happy. The first class arrangement is there already in the ship. It is not a passenger, it is not a cargo ship like Jaladuta that Prabhupada took to go to America. It is a 7-star ocean liner. So this is the good fortune that Srila Prabhupada has created for us, and all we have to do is just stay on board. Now let us consider what Srila Prabhupada had done to create this good fortune for us. It all started in 1922. Prabhupada was a 26-year-old young man, married with a son, and he had a very nice job. At that young age, he was the manager of a pharmaceutical company in Calcutta. And he comes across Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He didn't want to meet him. His friend, Naren Malik, told him that there is a sadhu, a very nice sadhu has come. So come, I will take you to him. Prabhupada's response was, I'm not interested in those sadhus. I know what these sadhus are like. In my house, my father invites them quite often, and I see all they want is just to eat and sleep. But he said, no, this sadhu is different. He's not like that. He's very learned, very educated. And so, Naren Malik's persuasion made Prabhupada to go and meet this sadhu. Very handsome, tall, very aristocratic gentleman. As soon as Prabhupada arrived in that hall where he was giving darshan, hall means room where he was giving darshan, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur just saw him and he immediately told him, young man like you should take up this mission of spreading Krishna consciousness to the Western world through English language. Prabhupada actually didn't accept that suggestion at first. He said the message of India will not be taken by anyone seriously unless India becomes free. India at that time was under British rule. So he kind of put it that way, that unless India becomes free, the outside world is not going to take the message of India seriously. But Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur told him, no, this message is not of this world. This message is from another world. And it is not dependent upon India's independence or dependence. It is not relative to any political or geographical consideration. This is the message from the spiritual world for the benefit of all human beings. Prabhupada was stumped. At that time, Prabhupada was involved with Gandhi's non-violent movement to free India. But just at one meeting, Prabhupada was completely sold out. So much so that when he went to his office, he submitted his resignation. Dr. Kartik Bose, who was Prabhupada's father's friend, he was shocked to see that he submitted his resignation. So he called him and asked him, why do you want to resign all of a sudden? And Prabhupada said that he met a very interesting spiritual personality and he gave him an assignment to spread the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the outside world through English language. So Dr. Bose resigned, okay, fine, then but why do you have to resign from your job? Like you can do it while you're also doing your job, you can do whatever you need to do. Why do you have to do it? But Prabhupada said, look, when I work for you and you're paying me, my time is sold out to you. It's not my time anymore. This 9 to 5 or 10 to 5, whatever it was at that time, is just sold out to you. And you can't do anything. And my time is actually sold out to you. And because I'm your employee. Dr. Bose told him, no, you are not my employee. You are like my family member. Like just as a family member, the son or nephew or a brother joins the family business, he is not an employee. Similarly, you are not an employee. But Prabhupada did not accept that or was not convinced with that argument. Then Kartik was asked, how will you maintain yourself? You have a family, you have a son, you have a wife to take care. Prabhupada said, I'll start my own business. Then my time will be my time. Then Dr. Bose actually told him that, okay, then you take the soul selling agency of my products for North India. So Prabhupada accepted that proposal. He became the agent of Dr. Bose's products, pharmaceutical products from North India. And that is why Prabhupada actually went to Allahabad. From Calcutta, Prabhupada went to Allahabad, settled down there to take care of business. And then Prabhupada started the business, but his heart was not in his business. His heart was in spreading Krishna consciousness. That's why his business was not very successful. People cheated him, took advantage of his simplicity and honesty. And actually Prabhupada had to go through a lot of difficulties at that time. Once Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur asked him, how is your business? And Prabhupada said, not very well. And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur said, that is because you do not love money enough. To be successful in business, you have to love money. And that was true actually. Prabhupada was not interested so much in making money. But Prabhupada's heart was always in spreading Krishna consciousness. And then ultimately, as you all know, Prabhupada left home over a very simple issue. His wife would not give up tea. So Prabhupada at one point made a proposal, either tea or me. She didn't realize probably how serious Prabhupada was, and she actually said, tea. And next morning Prabhupada left the house. Prabhupada's neighbors at that time, one of them mentioned that it was one fine morning, Abhay Babu was gone. Nobody saw him. All of a sudden, one day he's just gone, left home and went away. And that was a very difficult time for Srila Prabhupada. He left home and he was trying to work with his godbrothers. Gaudiya Math was already disintegrated, already fallen apart. And he was trying to work under different godbrothers. And there are lots of difficulties, like Prabhupada became the editor of a magazine of one of his godbrothers. And Prabhupada became so popular because of his writing, they started to see him as a threat and politely asked him to leave. And Prabhupada's life actually is so eventful, so to say. Then also he ultimately took sannyas from one of his godbrothers and then went out to preach to Agra. It was from Mathura. Agra is not very far. Prabhupada went to preach in Agra, and somebody became interested to take initiation from Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, fine, give me initiation. But those brahmacharis and others who were there, they told him, no, you can't give initiation. The Guru Maharaj gives initiation. Next morning Prabhupada left from there. And Prabhupada, I heard, told his godbrother who gave him initiation, he told him, you got me married, but don't want me to have children. Actually, when you go to Prabhupada's life, I mean, it's so painful, like to see what Srila Prabhupada had gone through. Then Prabhupada goes to Jhansi and he starts an institution. But it was getting some response. The people were becoming attracted to his preaching. But the house that Prabhupada had, he had a bungalow, old bungalow. And the governor's wife wanted to start her Mahila Samiti, the women's society there. And she evicted Prabhupada from there just because she wanted to have that place. Some people told Prabhupada that she can't do that, you can go to court. No, Prabhupada said, I haven't come here to fight in court. I'll just go. Prabhupada left that place. In this way you can see so many obstacles, so many hardships. But Prabhupada was fixed on his conviction. He was writing. And actually Prabhupada's writings are so brilliant. Those days, Prabhupada was in 1944, Prabhupada started to print the Back to Godhead, just simple 4-page newspaper. But the articles, actually all the articles were written by Prabhupada himself, and so brilliant writing. Prabhupada's Bengali writings, I discovered some of his writings from 1948 in the magazine of one of the Gaudiya Maths called Gaudiya Patrika. And I collected them and printed into a book. And later on that was translated into English. So brilliant, his writing. That shows Prabhupada was a special personality from the very beginning. Only thing is that his godbrothers couldn't recognize him, couldn't recognize his greatness. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur recognized his greatness naturally. That's why at the first meeting he told him, spread Krishna consciousness through English language. The Prabhupada didn't have many encounters, many meetings with his spiritual master. He met him only in 3 or 4 occasions. But all those meetings were very eventful. In one of his meetings, he told him, he expressed his discontentment, saying that he wishes, rather he wished that he could sell the marbles of the temple that he built in Calcutta, because the leading disciples started to fight among themselves about who is going to occupy which room. Big marble temple was built, and obviously there was living facilities. But they were fighting over who is going to stay in which room. And he expressed his frustration over that situation. And he told Prabhupada that I wish I could sell the marbles of that temple and print books. And he also told Prabhupada that you print books. Whenever you get money, print books. When in Bombay temple they needed a president to run the temple, they proposed that Srila Prabhupada could become the temple president. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said no, keep him out of all this. Because he didn't want Prabhupada to get involved in that politics at that time. He wanted Prabhupada to be away from everything so that in due course of time he can fulfill his mission. And we see that Prabhupada was the only one who could actually understand Srila Prabhupada's, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's heart. He understood the importance of collective management through GBC. He understood the importance of an institution. Like although practically in Gaudiya Math everybody knows that was what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur wanted, to manage the institution through collective management through GBC. But even now, they don't form a GBC to manage the institution. They appoint an acharya. They appoint a successor. Okay, for a small temple it is all right, one successor to run the temple. But when it comes to the international movement of spreading Krishna consciousness, then a different arrangements is necessary. And that's what Srila Prabhupada had done. And then we see that finally, after a lot of struggles, Srila Prabhupada goes to the United States of America. And all of you know through what kind of hardship and difficulty Srila Prabhupada actually went there, and how he struggled for 1 year through the cold of winter of New York City. New York City gets very, very cold in winter. A 70-year-old man, practically no place to stay, goes there. Mind you, Prabhupada went to America in 17 September, practically in the middle of autumn. And then he was in New York in the middle of the winter. How severe it can be, I can't even imagine. Be living in New York without proper heating system, without proper hot water to take shower. Like Prabhupada didn't have any proper place to stay. Eventually, he rented a place, but in that place, his things his typewriter, tape recorder got stolen. So he suspected that the janitor actually stole it. But he couldn't say anything, so he left that place. He shared a room with one young boy who became affected by his teachings, by his preaching. But he went back to LSD again. Like those days in America, most of these youth used to take heavy intoxicants, especially LSD. But this boy gave up his habit of LSD. And Prabhupada actually wrote to one of his friends, one of his godbrothers in India, that about this boy. And in his hope, he expected that he would become his first American disciple. But unfortunately, he went back to LSD again. And he became mad. And one day he chased Srila Prabhupada. There was some disagreement. He used to keep the soap on the floor at the bathroom. And Prabhupada told him, don't do that, because the floor becomes slippery because of the soap, and one may fall. And he didn't like that. There's simple things like that. He shouted at Prabhupada, you don't give orders to me all the time. And one day it came to such a serious situation that he tried to hit Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada ran down the stairs, came onto the road. Only place that he had, now he has been driven out of that place. There were a few young Americans Prabhupada got to know by that time, and one of them was one young boy called Michael Grant, who is our Mukunda Maharaj. So he phoned Michael Grant and told him what happened. And so Michael Grant could not accommodate Prabhupada at his place at that time, but he arranged for Prabhupada to stay in one of his friend's place. And that friend's place also was, if we reflect on that, like those days in America, most of these young boys and girls used to live together. So it was not that his friend was alone, his friend was with his girlfriend. But they probably had one room that Prabhupada could stay there for a while. And on top of that, they had a cat. So how difficult it must have been for Srila Prabhupada to live with a young boy and girl, living like husband and wife without getting married, with a cat. But Prabhupada had to accept that situation. But in the meantime, Mukunda Maharaj got a place for Srila Prabhupada. And he and some of his friends got together, got some money together, and paid for the first month's rent of that place. And that is our 26 Second Avenue. And behind that storefront, across a small patch of courtyard, there was another house, and on the first floor he got an apartment for Srila Prabhupada. Just a small one-bedroom apartment. And there Prabhupada started to preach. At least now he got a place which he can claim to be his. And that was the first center of ISKCON in America. That shop used to be a curio shop before. and then serve them. And they love Prabhupada's cooking. Prabhupada was an amazing cook. I mean, food, we heard the expression, food tastes like nectar. And you could really feel that when you tasted Prabhupada's cooking, and how it's really like nectar. And that is what actually attracted the youth of America. And then some of them started to learn to cook also. But the early days, Prabhupada used to buy the boga, prepare the boga, cook them, offer them, serve them, and after eating they all used to leave. And Prabhupada alone had to wash the pots, clean them. Now the kind of difficulties that Prabhupada tolerated for them is inconceivable. And then those devotees started to stay there with Prabhupada. Some of the boys didn't have any place to stay, so they started to stay in the 26th Avenue, the storefront. Then Jadurani, the first girl to move into that ashram, she insisted that she would stay there. She didn't want to go back to her father's house. Prabhupada said, "Look, this is not a place for a single girl to live." But she would not listen. And then finally Prabhupada had to allow her to stay in the same apartment where he was staying, just one bedroom apartment. There was another room adjacent, she was staying there. So this is how the women ashram started. And then in San Francisco, of course, there were 3 couples. And there also, so many interesting things started to happen. Like, one day, Malati Mataji, she actually stole a figure from a curio shop. She thought that, oh, Swamiji will probably like it because that looked so attractive. So she brought it to Prabhupada and gave it. Seeing that, Prabhupada immediately got up and offered obeisances. She was shocked. Why Swamiji is offering obeisances? Then Prabhupada asked, "Is there any other figures like that?" He said, "Yeah, there was 2 others. One was white and the other was yellow. This one was black. Guess who that was? Jagannath. See how Jagannath came to ISKCON, to Prabhupada, on his own accord. She didn't have money to buy it, she stole it. Of course, she didn't tell Prabhupada. I didn't used to tell that, but she started to tell him, yeah, I stole it. I don't know how she got the other 2. But she got them. And this is how Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra appeared in ISKCON. Now Shyamsundar Prabhu knew how to do sculpting, work on wood. So when Prabhupada heard that, Prabhupada asked, "Can you make this into a bigger figure?" He said yes. And so he got the big deities of Jagannath out of Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra. And those were the first deities to be installed in ISKCON, in San Francisco. So that is how they started the morning program. And worship of the deities. One afternoon, Srila Prabhupada came to the temple and he found that Jagannath is missing. So Prabhupada was quite shocked to see that, and he was told that the devotees have taken Jagannath to Golden Temple. So Prabhupada went to Golden Gate Park and he saw that the devotees are chanting and dancing around Jagannath. And many other young boys and girls also joined them and they were chanting and dancing. So Prabhupada told them that you can't take the Lord out of the temple like that whimsically. But there is a way out. There is a way to take him out. And then Prabhupada told about the chariot festival. The Jagannath goes out on a specific day on a chariot festival. So they decided to have a chariot. And the chariot was a flatbed truck. Just a flatbed, and they decorated the flatbed of the truck and they put Jagannath, Baladeva and Subhadra and have a Rath Yatra festival in Golden Gate Park. The first Rath Yatra festival. And that festival became so popular that the mayor of the city announced that day as a public holiday. And there are so many brilliant devotees actually joined. Krishna Maharaj, Vishnujan Maharaj, they all became attracted. Charu Swami also, I think. I'm forgetting the names of the other devotees. Anyway, so then San Francisco, and then devotees started to go to different other places to start ISKCON centers. They went to the West Coast. From the West Coast, they started to go to different other cities. Denver, Detroit, Toronto, Montreal, Ann Arbor, Michigan, Boston. So one after another temple started to come up. And these young Americans, they started to go to different other places to start centers. At that time Prabhupada was in Montreal. And Mukunda Maharaj, Shyamsundar Prabhu, Gurudas Prabhu and their wives, they came to see Srila Prabhupada. And they told Prabhupada about their brilliant idea to go to UK, go to London. Prabhupada encouraged them, okay, fine, if you want to go, but Krishna is saying go and do it. So they go they wanted to go to London, but they didn't have enough money to fly to London. The flights to London were more expensive than flying to some places in Europe, like Amsterdam, and Luxembourg. So they actually flew to Luxembourg or Amsterdam, but then they came to Amsterdam to cross the channel to go to UK, to London. But when they came there, they found that to enter into UK, you have to show a certain amount of money. Not very much, but still they didn't have that kind of money for all 6 of them to go. So they got all their money together that one couple could go. So they went there, showed that money, and got entry to UK. And then they wired the money back to Holland for the second couple to go. So in this way, 3 couples went to London. They didn't know where to stay in London. There were only some Indians who actually were sympathetic towards them, and they were staying with those Indians. Those Indians also those days were not very affluent, not very well-to-do, because they were the immigrants from East Africa. And so they were staying there and trying to preach, but nobody was interested to hear about Krishna consciousness. Even though people, those Indians who they were staying with, even they were not interested. And they were completely in anxiety what to do now. Then one day they saw a picture or a poster of the Beatles. Those days Beatles were the most prominent personalities. Like, I think they were at least among the youth, they were the most prominent people. And they saw the Beatles dressed in Indian dress in the picture. And from that they got the idea that maybe they can preach to the Beatles. Maybe the Beatles will be interested. But meeting the Beatles was not easy. Like, they were so famous, they were so prominent. So one day Shyamsundar Prabhu meets one of his acquaintances from the West Coast. He was the manager of a very famous music group called Grateful Dead. Maybe they were even before you were born, so you are not familiar with those groups. But they were a very famous group at that time, the Grateful Dead. And the manager of the Grateful Dead group was Shyamsundar Prabhu's acquaintance, was Rock Scully. So he Rock Scully actually, he asked Rock Scully what he was doing there. And Rock Scully said that he came to meet the Beatles. And so he became very interested. He said, can you also introduce me to the Beatles? So Rock Scully said, yes, you can come on such and such day. And Shyamsundar goes there dressed in dhoti and kurta. And the gatekeeper won't let him in because he didn't have an appointment. So he said, without an appointment I can't let you in. And he tried to convince him, look, my friend Rock Scully, he is the manager of Grateful Dead. He has an appointment and I'm supposed to go and meet the Beatles with him. But this way, when the gatekeeper wouldn't allow him, and when they were kind of trying to convince them like that, then the Japanese wife of John Lennon, Yoko Ono, just drives in a white Rolls Royce. And seeing Shyamsundar, Yoko Ono said, hey, you must be a friend of John. And he said, yes, yes. So she says, come on in. So she just takes him in. He is sitting in the reception waiting for Rock Scully. And then in the meantime, George Harrison just happens to come by and come out of his chamber. And he sees Shyamsundar Prabhu sitting there, dressed in dhoti and kurta. I mean, this is the one point, like you can see how important it is to dress in devotee clothes. I mean, if he was not wearing devotee clothes, probably Yoko Ono wouldn't have noticed him. George Harrison wouldn't have noticed him. Like, this is the importance of being dressed as devotee. At least those days. And seeing him, George Harrison just comes to him and says, "Where have you been all this while? I saw you all in San Francisco singing and dancing in the streets, and since then I've been wanting to meet you." And so this is how they make their acquaintance with George Harrison. And George Harrison invites them to come to his house. And they go there, cook up a feast in George Harrison's house, and and they become friends. And George Harrison became interested in Krishna consciousness, and they wrote to Prabhupada about their success in UK. Prabhupada came there to meet George Harrison. Prabhupada stayed in the house of John Lennon. And it's a big property. Prabhupada actually told that that house was haunted, and Prabhupada drove the ghost out of the house. Right? All kinds of wonderful things happened. And anyway, this is how Krishna consciousness movement started to get its grounding in the West. And then Prabhupada asked Tamal Krishna Maharaj to go there, London. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj goes there not only to London, then he goes to France, he goes to Germany, and starts the movement there. He was an exceptionally brilliant organizer, extremely capable person. So this is how Krishna consciousness movement started to spread. The early days were so eventful, so exciting. And that's why the youth were rushing to join this movement. That was probably the most exciting thing happening in the world at that time, especially in the Western world. In one hand, there was this hippie culture, and at the same time, there was this Hare Krishna movement, totally opposite. That culture was based on breaking the regulative principle, and this culture is to establish the regulative principle. So this is how this movement started to grow. And in 10 years' time, we saw the greatest miracle happening in this world. And so many such wonderful stories like that. I mean, not stories, like Upendra Prabhu, who was Prabhupada's servant, and I had a good fortune of working with him together, Srila Prabhupada. The young American, he goes all the way to Fiji to start the movement there. He was in Australia, but in Australia it was already happening. So he thought, let me go to some place where nobody went. And he goes to Fiji and starts the movement there. Another young boy, another godbrother of ours, Kshudi Prabhu, he was 17 years old, young American. He went to Mayapur festival and he was seeing all these big devotees. They established the movement in so many places. They are the big sannyasis, big GBCs. And he looked at the map and started to look where ISKCON didn't go. And he noticed that South Africa, Kenya ISKCON went, but South Africa, ISKCON didn't go. And at that time South Africa was apartheid, and it was a very difficult place to start something. So he decides to go to South Africa. And he goes to Prabhupada and tells Prabhupada that he wanted to go to South Africa to start the movement. Prabhupada was impressed with his enthusiasm and drive. And Prabhupada called one of his sannyasis to accompany him to South Africa. And this is how the movement started in South Africa. That's also another story. They didn't know where to go, where they would stay. But in the flight, they meet two Indians. And they are very well-to-do, very prominent Indians from Durban. So they go there. And he invited them. Okay, you can come and stay at my place. But South Africa those days didn't allow the mixing. Apartheid means no mixing between different classes. There's whites in one area, Indians in another area, blacks are in another area. They are not supposed to intermingle. And they were arrested when they found out that these Americans, whites, are staying with the Indians. The government didn't take it lightly. They arrested them. And so Srila Prabhu's father had to fly all the way from America to take him out of the police custody. Because no Indian could have actually pleaded on his behalf, because they're guilty also. And they didn't know any white there to kind of plead on their behalf. So his father had to fly all the way. So this is how, with these young boys and girls from the West, this ISKCON movement started to unfold in the Western world. So this history of ISKCON is so glorious. And I'm sure that people will relish it more and more as we move away in time. Those days we couldn't even imagine this kind of gathering. Prabhupada often used to lament that everyone is coming, but the Indians are not coming. He told me, everyone is coming, but the Indians are not coming. We are just a handful of Indians. Few of us just joined at that time. And Prabhupada will be so pleased to see so many Indians. But at the same time, Prabhupada will also question, we're in Australia, where are the Australians? So that is what we have to work now. Those days Prabhupada was lamenting, everyone is coming, but the Indians are not coming. But now we should lament, the Indians are coming, but no one else is coming. So we have to remember that this is the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. That we have to involve everybody, especially the land where we are in. The people from that land must come forward and join us. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna, Gaur Premanande. So it's already 12:25. So I'll briefly tell you about this afternoon program. In afternoon, I was thinking of speaking for 1 hour, and then we will go into different devotees giving their realizations. And so that session probably will go on for about 45 to 50 minutes, and then we'll conclude. So So, anyway, we'll meet again. And I feel very impressed to see how everyone was listening with rapt attention. Like, that's the nice thing about stories or narrating anecdotes. It catches the attention very nicely. Philosophy probably makes one fall asleep. But, so, let's see, in the evening, probably in the afternoon session, we'll continue also about Prabhupada Katha. Thank you all very much.